Composition and the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a tool I use when developing my own composition. It's when you divide your paper into 3 sections, both horizontally and vertically, and you can see the marks on the tree and the marks on the little scenic view are all divided into thirds. These guides will allow you to get better placement of objects within the piece. I personally don't draw the lines on there, but I imagine them, but for the demonstration I will draw the lines. And you'll notice that the lines cross and they create points of interest. These points are where your objects are going to be placed, and placing them on those points of interest will create a better composition. Notice how the trees line up with one of the points of interest, as well as the bottom of the rock. And the horizon line is also on one of the lines. By offsetting an object in a composition, it will make it more interesting and appealing to the eye. If I would simply just draw the object in the center of the piece, it would not be as effective. But you can see how it's off-centered with one of the lines. And it hits both points. Even the fence hits a point. When talking about the rule of thirds, you must remember that it's not a rule, but more of a guideline. And you do not have to hit every line and every point of interest. In the next 2 drawings, I will be drawing one object in the very center of the piece and one to offset a little bit. Another thing to remember when placing items on paper, do not put them at the very bottom of the page or at the very top. Some objects may go off the page, and that also helps composition as well. Do not start the objects on the very bottom of the page. It'll look very heavy and not as balanced. This is also a great tool to use when taking photos and snapshots. Just by moving the object a little bit off-centered, it will create a much better image. And you can tell the picture on the right is a little bit off-centered, and I'll draw the lines in here, that they're going to follow that exact grid line. This one is very boxed in and centered. The other composition tool used by artists is called the golden mean or golden ratio. What this is it's a grid line divided your paper over and over by 1.62. And by doing this, you create a spiral effect. Things that occur in nature follow this rule as well. It is very appealing to the eye. Again, by dividing the paper over and over by 1.62, creates a spiral effect, also known as Fibonacci's spiral. By knowing these 2 tools for composition, you're able to use them or not follow them as well. By choosing to kind of disobey them, many artists have been recognized or become famous from that. Here's an example of Jim Dine's tools, and most of his tools are very centered, very simple, and he kind of breaks the rule of either rule of thirds or golden medium because he centers everything that he does, with his tools especially. You also notice that the golden mean is very similar to the rule of thirds in the fact that if you drew the 3 lines vertical and horizontally in here, the points of interest go along some of the points of the golden ratio as well. Very close to it anyways. So next time you're starting a new piece or cropping an existing piece, or even taking a photo, remember to think of the rule of thirds either in your head or sometimes there's even a setting on cameras. The golden mean as well, very helpful tools, and learn them and use them. Thank you for watching.